BAMVision is brought to you by Gill, Ladner & Priest, Face Value Health, Bank First, JH&H Architects, Home Buyers, Will White, Benchmark Construction, Take One Media LLC, Mazda of Jackson, Carson Law Group, Southern Farm Bureau Life, Belhaven University.
It's tax time here at Mazda of Jackson.
The perfect time for you to get your new Mazda. We have great deals on our new and pre-owned vehicles in stock, like this 2018 Mazda 3. Now get up to $4,000 off our everyday low price. And we have so much to choose from in our pre-owned inventory as well. Go to MazdaofJackson.com to see our complete inventory of over 1,500 vehicles with 90 days till the first payment. Where nobody walks away?
Because everybody saves.
Hello, I'm Jack Chris, and welcome to this edition of BAMVision. We tape, of course, at Gill, Ladner & Priest and CC's Coffee Shop in Ridgeland, Mississippi. And speaking of Ridgeland, I am pleased and privileged to have Chief John Neal, the Chief of the Ridgeland Police Department. Chief?
Jack, it's my pleasure.
Thanks for coming on the show. Now, I want to start off with something, an observation I've made. I live in Ridgeland, and every time I've ever encountered a Ridgeland police officer out in public, it's always, yes, sir, or just the nicest people you've ever come across. And that's not the case in the whole metro. I can say that, probably you can. Does that come from the top on down? Do you instill in your officers that type of respect for the community? I mean, that's very refreshing.
Jack, I think it's probably a twofold process. Yes, it's what's instilled into them from the command staff and from the chief's office on down, but it also goes back to when we first lay our eyes on these candidates, when we first hire them. There's certain qualities about them that we look for, and it's those that have respect, that come from good, well-rounded families, that have a good education behind them, people that understand what life's about, instead of just, this isn't just another job to them. This is a commitment to the community, and they're there to protect the community. So obviously we're going to go out and look for the best of the best.
And you've got how many on the force now?
We've got 68 right now.
And that's pretty high number. Are you looking to hire more in the future as Ridgeland grows, or is that number going to stay constant?
Well, I was fortunate a couple of years ago. We went back before the Board of Aldermen in the middle of the year, and I put a proposal before them that asked for some additional officers, and they were gracious enough and saw the need for us to go ahead and add 4 additional slots into our patrol forces at that time, and we're looking to get those filled now, along with the attrition rate that's in any organization. So we're a little bit understaffed, but not to any levels that I'm concerned with, because we are going to get the best of the best. And if I have to wait an extra month or two to get that person, then I'm willing to do that.
Chief, tell me about your background. I know a little bit about it, but for our viewers who don't, you've been in law enforcement for how many years now?
30 years and 10 days. I just started my 31st year here just a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I'm glad you're here on the 10th day to celebrate. But you started in Jackson, did you not? Or?
No, sir. This is home.
Oh, you Ridgeland the whole time?
I was born early years in Jackson, and my family migrated up to Madison County when I was about 10 years old, and I have lived in Madison County for the most part ever since then, other than a little stint over in Rankin when me and my wife first got married. But I went to high school at Madison Ridgeland High School, graduated in 1983, went down to University of Southern Mississippi for a little while, and when I got ready to join the ranks of law enforcement, I put my application in 2 places, and it was the city of Ridgeland where I grew up, and also over Flowwood, which was booming at the time. And I was fortunate enough in January of 1989 to get that phone call from Harold Lacey, the chief at the time, and I've been here ever since.
Well, I didn't know you and I were both class of '83 alums. Yeah. So I am as well.
You look much better than I do.
Well, the camera does wonderful things and makeup. Chief, what's the best part of the job now, and what's the hardest? Because when I was growing up, we're the same age. It was officer friendly, and there seemed to be more respect for law officers. And I think maybe it's not the case in Mississippi, but nationally there seems to be a trend. It's like whenever any incident happens, the police are blamed automatically. So that's got to be part of the negative side of the job. And I want to hear from you, the best part and the downside to the job.
Well, let's talk about the fun stuff first.
Okay.
30 years and 10 days, I've never had a bad day of coming to work. I still love getting up every day. I still love coming to serve the people of Ridgeland, doing this job. It's often said that it's a calling for officers, and I truly believe that because of what some of the negatives are, what we have to deal with out there in the world nowadays. being a law enforcement officer, protecting the community is obviously fun. That's the best part. I have challenging days, but I don't have bad days, and I will take those. And that's why I'm working on 31 years right now.
As dangerous as it could be, it's still fun.
It's still fun, but because I'm at the point in my career now that we're bringing 21, 22-year-olds into this profession, and what little bit I can share with them from the past 30 years, if I can help mold them into being what Ridgeland needs, then I think I've got a calling still in this. So now let's talk about the bad stuff, and you hit the nail on the head. The respect that law enforcement officers get for the job that they do nowadays is gone from the people that we interact with. We know that we've got people who sit at home at night and watch TV and are law-abiding citizens that love everything that we do, and that's our biggest support, and that's what drives these officers every day, is knowing that they've got that support out there.
Right.
But it's when we run into that common criminal at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on the side of the road who doesn't feel like he's done anything that warrants interaction by law enforcement, they're automatically standoffish and argumentative toward officers now. And for these officers to have to put up with that day in and day out, it's what scares me about the profession of law enforcement and the society that we're living in now. It's a very small number, it's a very small fraction, but they do exist out there, and that's what makes the job challenging. And when you get a 22-year-old in who has to face that and has never had that adversity in his life, getting them to overcome that and stick it out and just make sure that they understand that this is a noble profession.
Jack, Chris, you're watching BAMVision. Our guest, Chief John Neal of the City of Ridgeland Police Department. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Back here at BAMVision with Chief John Neal of the City of Ridgeland Police Department. Chief, is it harder now for an officer than it was when you were coming in the ranks? I mean, given what we just talked about, and I'm sure there's so much more you have to know, not only legal things, but, tactical things. Is it harder for them?
It is. We're living in a technology-driven world now, so while you're on that traffic stop writing the violator a citation for speeding or for running a red light, they're on their iPhone figuring out what the law is as to whether or not they really did it. Something simple as that.
Really?
It's not uncommon for us to be challenged by the lawyers on the side of the road because they've seen it on the internet, or they've had a friend who thought that they knew what they were talking about.
That cousin who's a lawyer.
Right, exactly.
And you'd rather they not be around, probably. I didn't say that, though. Is crime under control these days? I mean, people who watch the news know that there's a lot of crime in Jackson. The murder rate is terrible, and that's a tragedy. But it seems like the suburbs and Ridgeland here, that we're pretty much, things are good. And I attribute that to you all and to our citizens. How is the crime situation here in Ridgeland and Madison County? We're
doing very well. One of our biggest problems, and it's problems everywhere, is just some of our petty crimes. We had a total of 0 murders in Ridgeland last year, and I'm proud to say that in 2019 we're still at 0. And our sister city to the south, with some of the struggles that they face, we're not seeing those up here, and that's a good thing. And I think it goes to the quality of life that Ridgeland residents expect whenever they move up here and whenever they establish a business up here. Things are done a different way, and it fits in with what their lifestyle is.
Let me ask your personal opinion about something. A lot of politicians on both sides of the aisle, including Joel Baumgar here, our good friend in Madison County, are talking about criminal reform. Do you have a position on that? Can you make a position on that? Or do you think, will we see new reforms in criminal activity, or what is defined as criminal activity? Well,
it's not uncommon for us in law enforcement, whether you're an investigator or whether you're the street officer out there, we are seeing repeat offenders.
Right.
Is it a problem that we should task the correction side of fixing? Obviously not, but there are those people out there who are lifelong criminals, those people out there who will not learn, who, regardless of the number of chances that you give them in life, are just destined to do wrong. That's the people that we need the Department of Corrections to deal with. We've got a lot of low-level drug violators out there that, for whatever reason, they've come across law enforcement, obviously something that they did in their life, but are there people out there that deserve that second chance in life? And certainly they are, and we need to do a better job in the criminal justice system, whether it's from the time of arrest until the time that a case is adjudicated, to identify those people and making sure that we're putting them where they need to be.
And I'm sure in your years of experience, you've probably encountered someone who was on the wrong path and turned their life around.
There've been numerous cases, and obviously without mentioning names, there was a young child early on in my career who ran afoul of the law, and he served a little bit of time, but he came out a changed man. That's the people that we need to reach out to and make sure that we're getting them right in life.
You know, Chief, this is, I think you would agree with me, but in the minute we've got left, I still wave at police officers. If I'm out jogging or driving, I wave at them. And you know, I think a lot of people forget police officers are people too. And I don't mean for that to sound like it sounds, but I think the community should outreach more to our officers. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't your force appreciate that? I mean, have cookouts or have officers over for dinner, or just to show them that we appreciate what you do.
We certainly love stuff like that. Love the interaction with the community, and it also gives me a chance to mention that I just left a meeting where we're starting to plan National Police Week coming up in May this year, and it's an event that's spearheaded by the Richland Chamber of Commerce, and I would certainly encourage any resident or any business person out there to reach out to the chamber if you want to be a part of that. They got some great things planned to show support for their local law enforcement.
If you see a police officer out there, thank them for their job and for their duty, because they do put their lives on the line. It's like I always say, Chief, you know, when you're in trouble, who do you call? You call the police department. If we got 1 minute left, I want to ask Chief Neal, what's the funniest call you ever got in 30 years?
We were after some auto burglars one day at a local apartment complex, and my partner that was with me at the time, we did not have canines in Ridgeland, but they were on the other side of a fence and we could hear them running from us, and I convinced my partner to bark like a dog and get them to stop, and sure enough they did.
Well, that's a good one. I've heard some other ones from some officers. That's a good one. Chief John Neal of the Ridgeland Police Department. Chief, thank you for all you do and for the work of your force. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it.
I'm Jack Chris. Thanks for watching BAMVision. We'll see you next time.
Will you be there to take me to the dance? Will you be there to take me fishing? Will you be there for me no matter what?
As God is my witness,